possibly are going to sign a striker. Crystal Palace, Everton and Nottingham Forest as well need a striker. The striker market, very hard to deal in because they're often very costly, in high demand, especially in January. Of course, in the summer, it really was the transfer window of the big-name striker, wasn't it? We saw some big striker moves. We're trying to have a look at some of them now because we spent a lot of time talking about these players. These are the big players that we've picked up, the 6 big strikers that were signed in the summer for big money. Ekitike, Voltemada, Gyökeres, Šeško, Isak and Wissa. There was a lot of movement, wasn't there? But have they made the impact that was expected, Chris, given the outlays that we saw?
I mean, yeah, well, it's lovely order there on the graphics, so we can kind of go down on who's done best to worst. Wasn't expecting that.
Descending,
well done, my graphics team. Look,
debatable.
Hugo Ekitike, I think, undeniable success. Obviously injured at the moment. Nick Voltemada as well. I think Newcastle will be very happy with that return. I think now we go down the list and we start to see where there might be some misses rather than hits. Victor Gyökeres came to Arsenal as somebody who was meant to be guaranteeing goals. We're talking about ready-made goals and a ready-made goal scorer. 5 in 19 with a few of those as penalties. I don't think they would have been happy with that return, although Mikel Arteta is saying that he would improve. Same for Benjamin Šeško as well. I think 4 in 17, we expected more there. Isak, we know he got off to a slow start because of his pre-season, and Wissa as well was injured for the first part of the season. But it's just interesting at the moment. You look at the Premier League top goal scorer chance. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's up there on a free transfer. Bruno Guimaraes as a midfielder is up there with 8 goals. Antoine Semenyo is a winger. We know that football's played slightly differently these days, so wingers often do find themselves up in them goal-scoring charts. But to me, it's no surprise that teams are looking around for strikers because at the moment it just doesn't seem like teams are getting their value for money, or they certainly haven't from that graphic this window.
The 2 that you quite rightly you picked out there, Chris, Šeško and Gyökeres, maybe the 2 that I might have expected a bit more from if you were Manchester United or Arsenal. When you look at those numbers, how much of that do you think is down to the teams still not quite fully understanding what their strengths are and how to play to their strengths?
And it's a tough gig when you come into Manchester United or Arsenal as a big name, big money striker. I think with Arsenal, they've played for so long and played so well without that big target man number 9. They're probably not, it's took them a while to get used to playing to his strengths, and then you don't want to take away from what you was doing anyway if you're Mikel Arteta. But I do think Gyökeres, he'll get there. I think we're seeing improvements in him, even last night. And Šeško, exactly the same. So he's looked completely out of sorts, but in a team that looks out of sorts a lot of the time anyway, although they're not having a bad season. But Manchester United, you just don't really know what you're going to get. So imagine going into that as a striker and you're not sure when the ball's going to arrive or if it's going to arrive or from where. But I do think in the last game we saw a different Šeško, especially in that second half against Burnley, where he got his goals and he looked like the real deal. So sometimes we expect a little bit to him. We expect him to hit the ground running, but that is football these days, and it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you get an Ekitike, he just comes and looks brilliant straight away, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer. It's a bit more of a slow burn. So I think both of those 2 will come good, Šeško and Gyökeres.
And I think with those 2 as well, I don't think anyone was under any illusions that they would 100% come in and take the league by storm. Šeško's playing in the Bundesliga, still very young. Gyökeres, the Portuguese league, just so different in terms of defensively and how he would get his goals. If you look at his kind of, his YouTube reel, his highlights, there was no way he was going to replicate that style in the Premier League playing for Arsenal. So I think Mikel Arteta has talked about the job he's doing away from scoring goals. I think that's to protect him a little bit because he definitely will want more goals from him. But last night was good for him. Got his tap in, got his assist. So I'm sure that they'll be expecting him to kick on now.
All right, we've got loads to come here on Good Morning Transfer. Bring in a central midfielder, which is their main area of target, we are told. A big name central midfielder who can make a difference. That could be the difference between you coming in the Champions League places and not. Is this not a great opportunity for Manchester United to have a push?
Absolutely. So for Manchester United, they need to be in the Champions League. We know at minimum. So you're so close to it now. whatever funds you have, go and get Elliot Anderson instantly. There's no ifs or buts about it. He's one of the best midfielders in the league. He's playing for let's say a lesser team or lower placed team. They're going to try and keep hold of him, Nottingham Forest, but I can see him in that team. He's another centre midfield player that doesn't accept things. He goes and gets the game by the scruff of the neck as well. He'll drag that team up. If I was Manchester United, I'd be trying to get Elliot Anderson with no hesitation, and then try and push it. I think he'll kick you on, and you'll have a strong finish to the season. Because you're right, you've had this indifferent season start to the season. You're still in a good position in the league, as most teams are. So can you put a little bit of separation between that and go and get in the Champions League?
Right, we've got a bit of breaking news for you coming in. Atletico Madrid are interested in signing Wolves' João